Matt Kenseth won Monday night's dramatic Daytona 500 race. Now he's having hot dogs at Pink's in Hollywood.
A lot of Matt Kenseth fans. You know, we've had you for several Walk of Fame ceremonies, and of course this is not your first Daytona 500 win. So I know you have a lot of fans here in Southern California, and we're absolutely thrilled to welcome the winner of the 2012 very, very exciting and very, very long Daytona 500. You know, I'm sure everybody wants to hear, what was that like from a driver's perspective?
Well, the racing was really exciting, I thought, from the beginning of Speedweeks all the way until it finally ended Tuesday morning. So we were there for a long time. Obviously, the rain was a challenge, but I feel like NASCAR really did a great job of calling some audibles and getting the race rescheduled where they could do it prime time Monday night. So I think there's a lot of people at home that were excited about that. They got to come and watch it after work. So it was a lot going on. Of course, the big delay in the middle of the race was kind of trying, you know, to stand there and wait for all that. But overall, I thought it was a great competitive race, and our Best Buy Fusion was just really fast, and glad we had it out front at the end.
So, you know, for those of us who watched that 2-hour delay on TV, you know, there's a whole gaggle of guys up there, and were you in that group? What was going on up there?
Yeah, we're just kind of talking. So once they all got us out of the car, it was actually kind of fun for about a half hour, 45 minutes, because everybody's kind of talking and telling stories and talking a little bit about racing, but more about other stuff. And then the last hour and 15 minutes, the delay though was a little too much for me. I was getting hungry, I was getting tired, and I was starting to get crabby. And I was wondering if we were going to go racing again or not. And I knew we were the first one off pit road, and we were going to have hopefully a chance to win it if it went back to green. And we were sitting there with 4 guys that stayed out that knew they had to pit if it went back racing. So I was just hoping that the track wasn't damaged too bad where we couldn't go again.
So Brad Keselowski had his Sprint phone out there, and he was tweeting. There's a rumor that actually what he was doing was tweeting Mike Hilton and asking him to send out a pizza. Is that true?
I don't know if that part. I don't know if it is true, but actually John Darby called down and asked if the drivers needed anything, and Buster, who's been a NASCAR official forever, drives a pace car with Brett Bodine and stuff, and he was out there, and he says, "Hey, John wants to know if you need anything." I was like, "Yeah, we need something." I said, "Tell him to send down about 10 pizzas." And the only message I got back is that he figured I'd say something like that. So I guess he didn't take me serious, because I was serious.
Well, I am sure that if the Pinks family were in Daytona Beach, Florida, you would have had some hot dogs during that delay.
Yeah, if this happens at Auto Club Speedway, I'm asking for hot dogs for sure. I say go to Pinks Mobile and load us up.
And you can bet it'll happen because they'll be at the racetrack. Yeah. We're excited to have Pinks to join our exceptional food.
Yeah, and if there's more than 50 laps left, though, tell them to hold the jalapenos.
So we've got a few questions from fans that I wanted to ask. They asked about, you know, what it's like winning on a Monday, because you've won the race before. So was there a difference between the hype and excitement of the last one versus this one?
No, not a lot of difference in the excitement. Winning on a Monday I hate to call it a job, because what I do is really, really fun, and it's kind of cool that I get to do it for a living, but my schedule's so messed up anyway. I mean, our work week is kind of, you know, Friday through Sunday is when we're usually at the racetrack, what I would call our work week, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is usually kind of like our long weekend, you know, when we get home, even though we still got stuff to do usually. So winning on a Monday is not much different than winning on a Sunday to me. I kind of, honestly, we were down there for 13 days, and I sort of lost track of what day it was or what was going on. It seemed like it was so long from the 150s until we finally got to race. I kind of lost track. So I was relieved when we finally started the race, and real excited about it. We had such a good Speedweeks down there with our cars qualifying, and Greg and Carl being on the front row, and we were able to win our qualifying race. We didn't do a lot of practice after that. We just couldn't wait to go race because we knew we had a pretty fast car.
Well, all the Roush cars looked really strong during Speedweeks, and you guys were really strong last year as well. What are you thinking about a championship this year?
Well, there's a lot of racing to do before the cutoff for the chase way in September, and even more racing to do before they crown a champion. But you know, Carl, obviously, he couldn't be any closer than he was last year. Greg is capable of any time of going on a run and winning a bunch of races and having a shot at a championship. And it seems like him and his new crew chief, Matt Kenseth, are working good together. And they're starting to, toward the end of last year, things are starting to come together for him. And I felt like my team performed as good as any other team throughout the season last year. So you're never sure what this season's going to bring until you get 5 or 6 weeks into the season and we go to all the different styles of tracks that we race at all year. Daytona's kind of all by itself. but I feel pretty confident about it because last year we did end on a pretty positive note.
You were talking about Greg and how good he is. So you're coming around the last turn of that last lap, you're leading. You know you've got Greg behind you and that he's real strong, and you know that behind him is Junior and he's got a strong car, and you know it's Daytona. So what were you thinking going in there? Were you looking in your rearview mirror, or were you looking toward the checkered flag?
I was watching the mirror a lot, but once I got to turn 4, I knew that they weren't getting around me. I could plug the whole track up between turn 4 and the start-finish line if I needed to block, and Greg wasn't close enough anymore to get a run. So our car was just so fast when I got in front, it was hard for anybody to get a run on us. That whole last 50 laps or so, when Greg and I would get single file in the front, and he'd get behind me, our two cars together were just really fast. They kept trying to mount a charge on the outside, and they just couldn't make it happen. So as long as Greg was behind me, I felt okay about it. This is going to sound a little backwards, but because his car was so fast, and my car was as well, it was hard for like the 88 to push Greg because Dale Jr.'s car just wasn't as fast. Now, if Dale Jr. would have been behind me and Greg would have been behind him, I would have been much more worried because Greg's car was so fast that he could push another car even faster, and I think they could have ganged up and maybe got a shot to get around me. But even with Dale Jr. pushing Greg, my car was so fast we were all going about the same speed. You know, I don't think he could ever get enough of a run to make that move on me.
Talk about the track itself. It was repaved for the first time in 30 years last year, and then all the changes that NASCAR made over the off-season to bring back the pack racing. So what was the Speedweeks like from a driver's perspective?
I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot more than the two-car packs. I enjoyed being able to have a little bit more control over your destiny and be able to race yourself and not really worry about somebody else when you're racing the whole time and depend on somebody else for help or be helping someone the whole time and try to negotiate traffic and do what's best for you to try to win the race. So I enjoyed it. I thought the rules changes were good. The little spoilers, everything, the cars ran really fast. They're a little bit harder to drive. I thought overall the racing was good.
This fan wants to know if you love rain, because your last Daytona 500 was rain affected and this one was rain affected. So are you out there praying for rain?
You know, we've got fortunate on a few rain delay races. Our first win, the 600, I think that race ended up being over 6 hours. We had a rain delay in the middle of that, I think with like 200 miles to go or something like that. And that was our first win. And we won Texas on a Monday one time after a Sunday rained out. So we've had pretty good fortune after the rain for some reason, and postponed events.
This question from a fan wants to know how Ross is doing and how his racing's going.
Ross is doing pretty good as far as I know. He went off to college this year and he's a freshman in college, and I feel like I'm getting older, but I'm not that old where I don't remember what all goes on in college. So of course, I don't know exactly what's going on. I hope to, but I'm sure I don't. So he seems to be doing pretty good. He's adjusting to life there in Clemson, and his first semester was pretty good. I know it was hard for him, and he's working pretty hard at that. And he's done a couple races this season. He's got a big race coming up this weekend down in southern Alabama, and he's getting ready to go do that. I think he's anxious to get to the track on Friday as well.
What's left on your bucket list of things to do? You've had a pretty amazing career. You've accomplished a lot already, but I know you have interests outside of racing too. What do you think about that you'd really like to do?
Yeah, I haven't really made one yet. I was thinking about that the other day because I have a birthday coming up that I should probably make a bucket list, but I never feel like I'm close enough to the end or I have to make one yet. And I get to do a lot of really cool stuff. But the one thing that Katie and I talked about doing a couple years ago, and we just never did it, that someday I would like to do is go on an African safari. I think that looks really cool. I was talking to Jack and House about a month ago, and he's went on African safari this last winter in off season too, and really enjoyed it. And I know Jimmy's went there and Jeff's went there, and it sounds like that would be something really neat to go see that I'd like to go do sometime.
Well, you can strike off that list having a Pink's hot dog named after you, because that you've accomplished. Let's hear it one more time for the winner of the Daytona 500.
Thank you.
Matt will be back here in just a couple weeks. You're going to Phoenix this weekend. Looking forward to that.
I am. I'm anxious to get there. They repaved the track, and when we got there last year to test, it was a real challenge until we got it burnt in. But I thought the racing was pretty good. Once the race started, you could do some passing, and it was all good until we got pushed into the wall. But other than that, everything was good. And I'm looking forward to getting back there and seeing how much the pavement's changed since we were there in November, and just see how long it takes for the track to come to us.
And then, of course, you're back here the March 23rd through the 25th for the Auto Club 400, and you've had tons of success at our track, so we expect you'll be running up front one more time.
I hope so. I mean, it's one of my favorite tracks. I've always enjoyed coming to the Auto Club Speedway. I remember the first time I came out here was in '97, and almost won our first Busch Series nationwide series race that day. Came home third. So it's been a track that I've always really enjoyed coming to. I think the racing there is really exciting. I think last year that race for the win was probably one of the best races of the whole year with Kevin and Jimmy and passing them in the last corner. That was amazing race to go home and watch that replay. I wasn't quite close enough, but I could see most of it from where I was. So hopefully we'll get out there and be able to step it up just a little bit and be up there challenging for a win. Hopefully.
Great. I want to thank.